Folks, welcome to yet another 100 before 40 race update, race reviews. In this video, folks, we're going to talk about the epic one, the great one, the Athens Marathon, the authentic. That's where it all started, as they say. For those of you who follow the 100 before 40, you will recall that I hit the 100 mark in May 2023, and that was a whole 6 months before the 40th birthday. So I started wondering what I could do with these 6 months, because I couldn't just stop and say, well, the 100 is over now. I had to become innovative. And I recall in one of the videos that I did, one of you guys, Diane Key 8956, suggested that, look, you could run one marathon every month and try to run a personal best before you get to 40. So I looked at it, I thought, this sounds like a good idea. But at that time, I really didn't want to commit openly. So I went back, thought about it, and decided this sounds like it. I need to try and run a PB before 40 because the pressure of 100 is gone. What else could I be worrying about? What else could go wrong? I've already done the 100 yet. So off I went. I looked at my stats. Yeah, it's stats. 100 marathons, it becomes statistics. I looked at those stats and realized that my PB was still from 2018 at the Deloitte Challenge in Durban, where we ran from Palito to Durban. They no longer run that route as it used to be. But at that race, I had done a 3:49. So I went back and I thought, 3:49 is the time to beat. So I grabbed a 3:45 training plan, and this was going to be over a period of 14 months. Then I decided, well, if this is going to be epic, what race should I run? Because I've done a couple of races that are quite interesting and all those things. Some of them are very difficult, so you wouldn't go and try to run a personal best there. Then one morning, as I was just surfing through Facebook, I noticed that the Athens Marathon, the authentic, its 40th anniversary this year, 2023. And I was like, oh, look, I have a policy. I have this thing of I do not go back and repeat the same race overseas. But this one has to be an exception because turning 40 is their 40th anniversary. I ran that race 2 weeks before I turned 40. I mean, that could be the best way to finish this 100 before 40 adventure. So I registered for the Athens Marathon, the authentic, and from there I just intensified the training because now I knew that there was a real goal to achieve. There was a real epic marathon to go and try. It was no longer just, I'm just training to see if I can hit a personal best. So I had to commit, and I did commit. So the first few weeks of the training plan were not that difficult because I think I was coming from the back of massive mileage because of the running that I'd done from January to June. I think I'd run almost 12 or 13 marathons there. So from a base point of view, I was good. But once we hit week 6 became difficult because the speed runs became longer and longer, and the reps or the intervals became longer and longer. And this is a person who had last run a sub-4 marathon in 2018. So it became a bit tough, but I soldiered on. I think by the time I got to week 8, I was kind of used to it. I think I was now cruising. I think I was now comfortable with the training. So I was like, bring it on, 6 more weeks to go. And then the epic marathon comes. Just as I was enjoying the training, thinking, I've got this under control, something really bad just happened. I woke up and went for my usual long training run, came back, did some work and all that, and decided tomorrow I had another workout. I had to take a nap a bit, so I went to sleep. And when I woke up, it was around 6, I think 6:30 or somewhere there, I checked my WhatsApp and saw that my brother had sent me a message that our dear little sister had passed away. Yeah, it was a very sad moment. And I mean, coming from a high, I'm enjoying my training, things are going well and all that. And then to wake up to that news. She had been sick, but I didn't expect that she would depart at that time. I didn't expect that she would leave us at that time, but it's God's will. There's nothing else we could do. I went for her funeral, and then when I came back, I had to travel to Kenya for work. And by the time I left Kenya coming back, I think the whole thing has taken a toll on my body. I then fell sick. and I couldn't train. I think I stayed out for almost 2 weeks because I had this flu, and I thought maybe it's COVID again and all that. So I just stopped training. I didn't want to complicate things and end up being out of training for a longer time. So another training run as we gear up for the big one. Here we're just there to see how it goes. It's the Dam half marathon. Then as the training was going well, I decided, well, let's spice it up a bit. Let's order some new wheels, and I waited for the new 1080s. As soon as they launched, I ordered those, and I was like, what a better way to even make it more special. So I arranged for them to be customized. You know, it was 100 before 40 all out. Nothing, no one was being left behind, and nothing was being left behind. So I got these new wheels fully customized. It's 11 days before race day, and the training continues. It has been difficult and hard. We are now slowing down as we wait to see how it goes. Alright folks, it's the 7th of November. This is my last speed work run, or my last speed work, 5 days away from race day. Let's see how it goes. And finally it was time to go. It was time to leave Africa and go for the great expedition. And as usual folks, and if I'm being Lega, I was not alone. I was with the Minister of Finance, the one that makes things happen, the one that approves the budgets, Agatha. We were quite excited when we got to the expo, and we did not even try to hide the excitement. I mean, it was the ultimate race of the 100 before 40 after all. So we went around, took pictures, and went to the stores, picked our numbers, and walked around in there to see what was there, what was on offer. And I must say, we probably ended up spending just too much time on our legs. Then it was Saturday morning. It was time to go to marathon, but we decided to combine it with the route inspection. So we did some parts of it on foot, and then some parts of it we drove. And let me be honest, we didn't cover the whole course. We did sections. So we found a section that we thought was exciting or interesting. We would then stop and walk to the next kilometer mark. But the ultimate goal was to get to marathon before the official launch of the race started. And we made it just in time. Alright folks, it's one day before the race, and today, Agatha, where are we now?
In the town of Marathon.
There will be the official launch or opening of the race, and then after that we will go to where the race starts. So let me just walk on this side because and show you what's happening. So those guys will get closer and closer, but behind me here is where the function is all taking place. And driving here from Athens, I started feeling like the 42 kilometers was much longer than 42, and going down those hills on the car, I'm not so sure about tomorrow, hey? But we will have to see how it goes. It's the 100 before 40. This one has to be epic, and we'll try our best to make it epic.
Η Αθήνα άνοιξε φιλόξενη πόρτα να του δεχτεί. Ο πριν είχε δεχτεί και τον Θηγάδα πένιτα τυφλό ειδίποτα με τις χώρες.
After the formalities at the Tomb of Marathon, we decided to carry on with our route inspection towards the main road because we were hoping to get a bus at the main road. And Agatha, being the novice, I gave her an overdose of "this is the blue line, always follow the blue line." So So Agatha and I rushed off to the stadium. We didn't realize these two guys were walking there. We thought they were hopping on an open bus or whatever, and we didn't want to miss them. But when we got there, we had to wait for a while. It was a long wait until they arrived. I think when they arrived here, they still had some speeches they wanted to make, but the people were just too tired of waiting, and people just sort of congregated towards those stairs, directing them to go and immediately light that torch that we were told that it would stay on until the last runner had crossed the line. Then when we got back to the room, the novice put her things all together. She was ready for the race. And early in the morning, we took a short walk to the buses, and it was quite short. It was, I think, less than 800 meters. We got there, we didn't have to queue. In fact, the buses were waiting. As soon as we got there, we hopped on the bus. 4 more people came, and then off we went. We were on our way to Marathon. We arrived at Marathon just before 7, and it was a bit chilly at that time. So we were debating whether we should drop our bags immediately or keep it for a while and then drop it later. Eventually we decided to drop it earlier. Because I was starting in block 8, which would have been about 20-30 minutes after the first group started, we decided to go and watch the first group take off. So we went to the front, and this would have been the last chance some of us had to have a look at those elite runners, because by the time we got back to Panathinaik Stadium, these guys would have had lunch and everything and left and gone. So we took some time, and after that we went back to our starting blocks. As Agatha was starting in block 12, I was in 8. And I think our block started walking about some 700 to 800 meters from the start line. It was a smooth walk, and it was not too crowded. So after pumping it up for 1.5 kilometers to 2 kilometers, waiting sort of the road to open up, I realized that I was about 45 seconds behind my pace target. So I decided it's time to run on the shoulder of the road, weave through or sneak through people, and make sure that by the time we get to 5K or 6K, I'm within my target pace. Because if I lost time right at the beginning, I was going to suffer even more on the hill. So I then started running on the shoulder for a while, and by the time we got to the loop or the detour or that goes to the tomb of Marathon, I think I had managed to bring it down a bit. I think I was now within 15 seconds out of time, and by the time we completed that tomb of Marathon loop, I had sort of got back on track. I was now on time, and it was time to relax again. We are already 6 kilometers into it, and it feels good so far, but the hills and the mountains are waiting ahead, so we will just have to see how it goes. And one thing that I did a lot to avoid all sorts of calculations in my mind was to be on the lookout for all sorts of costumes and running styles and running apparel and all that. And I noticed some guys, and I really envy them that they are able to do this. that were running barefoot, and here's an example of he was even pushing a wheelchair, but he was running barefoot all the way to Athens. So folks, we get some much needed rest after some long hill that almost brought me to a walk. But for now, we're still good, we're still going. It's not yet halfway, so we have to conserve and manage for halfway. And if you want proof of life, here it is. Proof of life. I'm still alive. Okay, we are now at 21 kilometers, 100 meters before the halfway. So the going is getting tough now. I think the next 10 kilometers are going to be tough. And here, folks, you may have noticed that I now had an olive branch on behind my cap there. I plucked that olive branch at the Tomb of Marathon, and a legend has it that, well, first they say the olive branch is a symbol of peace, and secondly, legend has it that if you carry the olive branch from Marathon to Athens, you would have a good race. So I was not taking any chances, I was not leaving anything to chance, I was doing everything possible to just boost my confidence. So I ran with that olive branch on my head. And now towards the 30th kilometer, and there was this bridge, and this bridge traumatized me from last time, so I knew exactly about this bridge. And when I saw it coming, I knew, yeah, from here we've been climbing and climbing, but at the end of this bridge there's another steep climb, probably for another 700 meters a kilometer.
Vamos outros! Minha mão para o braço!
Because I was so out of it, I got a bit confused. I didn't realize that all along I had my microphone on. So when I got to this part and I wanted to explain what was going on, I turned it off and I thought it was actually on. But all I wanted to say at that stage, folks, was that we were now on the last part. This was now the descent into Athens, and if you're on a plane, that's when the captain would say to you, ladies and gentlemen, we have started our descent, because from there to the Panathinaikos Stadium it was just going to be downhill, and some of it even brutal. So if you had messed up your legs going up those hills and all that, here you would suffer. And as someone who had lost a lot of time going between that stretch 22 to 32, I tried to make up for that. I tried to sprint a bit, but the more I went faster, the more tired I got. Eventually, I just gave up on the whole thing, and I decided, well, now I'm going to do intervals to make sure that at least I finish in a decent time, and at least I finish in a respectable time. Once we hit that last stretch into the stadium, all that pain and suffering and all that heat and everything just disappeared. Just the view of this iconic stadium in front of you, knowing that I have done it. Another 42 kilometers is gone. In fact, the 42 kilometer sign is just a few meters ahead. So you hit that 42k mark like here, and then you realize that's it, I've done it, the marathon is over. I don't think anything else could go wrong from here. For me, it was, that's it, I've done it. The 100 before 40 is over. The next time I step on the road to run a marathon, it will be a different universe. It won't be the 100 before 40. It will now be 1 after 40, that kind of thing. And I was so proud. And one thing that no one had known, I was carrying this banner in my pocket. Not even my wife knew. And I had some moments where I talked to myself, but I ran this race in honor or dedication to my sister. And you would have noticed, apart from the white sleeves that I was wearing all black. Okay, the shoes are gray because I needed a light color that when I got them customized, you'd still see the customization. But it was a deliberate choice. I made that choice consciously, because that race, apart from being the final race of 100 before 40, it also meant a lot, and it really meant a lot to me. And that was the 100 before 40. At least the running part was done. And now, folks, the most important part, the part I tell you whether things went according to plan or things went pear-shaped. Let's start with the traveling. The traveling was good. We booked our flights, I think in July, so we booked our flights way in advance. We applied for our visas way in advance just to make sure that everything was going according to plan. There had been a lot of training for this race, so we wouldn't leave anything to chance. We went to the expo on the Friday evening to collect our race packs because we didn't want to leave it for Saturday for 2 reasons. The main one being the organizers warned that Saturday gets too busy, but the second one, and probably equally important, was that on Saturday morning we had to go to the Tomb of Marathon for the official launch of the race. This is something that we've enjoyed in the past, so this time around we decided we should do it again. So we arrived at the expo, I think it was just after 7:30 or something to 8, and they were meant to close at 8 o'clock. So initially we were worried that it would be quick, but once we got in there, picked our race packs, we then spent some time checking what was on sale and what freebies we could get to continue filling our goodie bags, because the goodie bag is an important part of the race. If the goodie bag is not good, even the race is not good. As we have seen, folks, or heard as I was narrating what happened, a lot of things went according to plan. I think the pacing, the early days, the early stages, I was right on point. I was hogging the blue line, as we have seen. Up to 21 kilometers, I think everything was good. But then that stretch from 21 to 32 is a stretch that sort of gave me shivers and all that. And I think, as I said earlier, I did give it too much respect, and that's where I lost a lot of time. So when I got to 33 and checked my watch and realized I was behind, I then decided, no, I'm not going to follow the coach, the pacing thing anymore. I'm just going to change the pace, put just my speed and the time. And then by the time I got to 35, I was like, no, I don't even want to see my time. I just want to see my pace or my speed, and I changed the pace again. So as I was going towards the finish line, I did not know whether, well, I knew I had not met the time, but I did not know by how much I had missed it. I thought just maybe I had managed to fluke it under 350, because I thought I had regained a few seconds and minutes in the last 5Ks as it was downhill. After finishing, I went to the water and all that, and later on collected my pack and dressed up because it was getting cold. But I never checked my time. I was still like, oh, look, did this go well? Did this go badly? Oh, it went badly, but how bad? It was only when Agatha came and she asked me, hey, you did a good time. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's not a good time. I missed my target. And then she said, yeah, but I saw it was 352. I'm like, whoa, you were not supposed to tell me. We were supposed to sit down and do a review video, but then because you'd already reviewed the time, there was no time to do the video. So that was my story, folks. From 345 target, I ended up doing a 352. I'm proud of it because the last time I was in Athens, I also missed my target, and at that time I think I missed it by a good 12 minutes. I had planned to do a sub 4 358 to be comfortable, but I ended up doing a 410. And the Athens Marathon, folks, is not one of the easiest. In fact, this is what one of the experts, one of the well-known guys in the running circles had to say. And let's talk about the aid stations. We normally don't talk about water stations, but I must say for the earlier part of the race, there were water stations, unless if I missed something, because up to about 24 kilometers, all I saw at the tables was water. I cannot remember seeing some electrolytes, but I saw Coca-Cola and some other sweet drinks, but I was on a mission. I had my gels. I think I had 8 of them, equally spaced 30 minutes apart, because I was supposed to finish 3:45. So the last one would have been 3:30. So I did not really mind the water. In fact, it was a good thing, because all I did was just sip a bit and pour a lot on myself, because it was quite hot. So overall, I was happy with the water points aid stations, because there was no point where I got to a water point and had to queue for water wait. It was just smooth and it was easy grabbing. The fact that it was in bottles, yes, there may be plastic issues, but those bottles made it easy. You just grab, carry on running and drink as you go. And within that vicinity of the water point, you dump your bottle and you carry on. So that was good for me. Overall, folks, I was a happy customer. I think the race lived up to its expectations. It had the most finishers, as they announced, because I sat there and waited for the other guys to finish, and they announced that it had the most finishers since the inception of the race, and no surprises there, because it was a special edition. It was the 40th edition, and everything really went according to plan. The buses in the morning, the water stations, as I said, the medal, a very beautiful medal, something for keepsake. So if you're looking for a race, I would recommend the Athens Marathon, the authentic. Despite it being difficult or tougher than most of the races in Europe, or definitely tougher than most, if not all, of the majors, there's a rich history behind it, and you would love it, you would enjoy it. The atmosphere in Athens, all the way from Marathon to Athens, everyone in the city from Marathon to Athens is in marathon mood on marathon day. And yeah, it's something to experience once in a lifetime. I think the fact that this is the original marathon, as they say, and this is the route that they use for the modern day, for the first modern day Olympics, also has some value to it, especially for me. I'm quite chuffed that I've done that route twice, and finishing the iconic Panathinaiko Stadium, that is something for keepsake, something that I'll treasure. And there was no better way, folks, to cap the 100 before 40 than to go back where it all started. Do it on the 40th anniversary of the race, a few weeks before I turned 40. And by the way, just by the way, this is not a customized shirt. I just got it there at the expo. In fact, this is about the race, not about me, even though it works well for me. 1983 to 2023 is the big 40, and life is only beginning.
his 80th birthday. 80 χρονών. Τα γενέθλιά του έχει σήμερα. Θερμά συγχαρητήρια στον τελευταίο δρομέα από την Αμερική, τον κύριο Άντερσεν, 80 χρονών.
So, Agatha, you did your very first marathon at the Athens Marathon Authentic. How was that experience?
I almost gave up, but yeah, it was good. It was a good experience. I paced. I did not go off my set times. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I've done it.
So you're a marathon finisher now?
Yes. So I can officially inherit.
If you enjoyed this video, folks, please give us a fat thumbs up, and if you have not done so yet, please subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notifications when we post something new. As for what's next, I will let you know in the next few weeks.